Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're diving into something really important. It's about the physiological shifts women often start experiencing, in their mid-30s.
Yeah, it's a phase a lot of people are curious about, and you, our listener, want to get the key info quickly and clearly.
Exactly. So that's our mission today.
Right. We want to unpack the main physiological changes that, well, can happen for women, somewhere between, say, 32 and 37. This is based on some really insightful expert commentary we've looked at.
And the goal here isn't to cause worry, right? It's about empowerment.
Absolutely. It's about equipping you with knowledge for proactive self-care, giving you a map of the potential landscape, so to speak.
A map, I like that. And it's crucial to say everyone's different. Not every woman goes through this the same way.
Definitely not. But
Yeah.
understanding potential predispositions, that can be really valuable.
Okay, let's get into it. Where should we start? Maybe with the adrenals. We hear a lot about adrenal fatigue and cortisol.
Good starting point. So what's interesting is how the adrenal glands, their ability to compensate for stress, seems to subtly change, right around age 32 to 35.
Change how?
Well, before that, the body might bounce back from stress a bit easier. Cortisol kicks in, initially doing its job as an anti-inflammatory.
Right, cortisol isn't all bad. It has that initial protective role. And you mentioned it's usually balanced by something else, DHEA.
Exactly. Dehydroepiandrosterone, DHEA. It's produced by the adrenals too, and it basically helps rebuild and maintain tissues. It's the natural counterbalance to cortisol's breakdown effects.
Okay, so they work together usually.
Usually. But the expert observations suggest DHEA levels can start to, well, dip pretty significantly around this age.
A significant dip, not just gradual.
It seems it can be quite abrupt for some, and this drop appears linked to ovarian function, even egg quality. So here's a key thing. Mid-30s, this stress buffer, DHEA, it can really take a hit.
Wow. And that's a big deal because,
Because if you've still got stress pumping out cortisol, but you don't have enough DHEA to balance it, that's when problems can surface.
okay, so what kind of problems are we talking about? What happens when cortisol runs high without that DHEA buffer?
Well, the body can start breaking down proteins more readily. That can show up as gastrointestinal issues, for instance.
Got problems. Okay. What else?
There's potential for neuroinflammation that could affect your thinking, maybe feel like brain fog, and it impacts connective tissues, muscles, their integrity.
So maybe taking longer to recover from workouts, feeling weaker, gut issues, maybe that foggy feeling could all be potentially linked.
They could be symptoms reflecting that underlying imbalance,
Yeah.
yes. And the expert commentary does note that over time, this state might be associated with certain diagnoses related to chronic stress and inflammation.
Right. Okay, so the adrenals are working hard, cortisol's up, DHEA is down. What about adrenaline? Does that play a role?
It often does. When DHEA is low, the body might start relying more on adrenaline catecholamines just to keep energy levels up.
Ah, trying to compensate, pushing through.
Kind of, yeah. It's like trying to run on fumes, using these bursts of adrenaline.
Yeah.
But that can lead to feeling, hyperactive or constantly on edge.
That makes total sense, that feeling of being exhausted but somehow wired.
Exactly. And that comes with side effects.
Mhm.
The expert points to things like increased anxiety, maybe that knot in your stomach feeling, chest pressure sometimes, even sporadic high blood pressure. Headaches too, especially premenstrually.
And sleep.
Oh, definitely sleep disturbances. Being totally wiped out but unable to switch off your brain.
Pelvic inflammation was also mentioned. It's like the whole nervous system is just stuck in overdrive.
Okay, so that's the adrenal side, cortisol, DHEA, adrenaline. But the sources also talk about other hormones shifting around this time too, right?
Yeah.
Even for women with previously regular cycles.
Yes, and this can be surprising for many. Hormonal imbalances beyond the adrenals can start cropping up, often maybe more noticeably in the late 30s, early 40s.
And what drives that?
Mhm.
Still stress. Stress is a big factor, definitely. Lack of sleep too. And poor nutrient absorption, which could tie back to those gut issues we mentioned, that can all impact other key hormones, like progesterone.
Progesterone. Okay, what happens if that gets low?
Well, low progesterone can cause a few issues. Problems with the uterine lining, for example. That might mean a shorter luteal phase.
That's the time between ovulation and your period.
Exactly. Or just generally more irregular periods. Plus, progesterone helps make GABA.
GABA, the calming neurotransmitter.
That's the one. So less progesterone can mean less GABA, which might lead to feeling more sensitive, maybe anxious, and even contribute to pelvic swelling.
It's also connected. And then there's estrogen. I remember reading something about FSH and estrogen potentially spiking. That sounds counterintuitive if overall levels are declining.
It does sound odd, but here's how it can work. As the ovaries naturally start producing a bit less estrogen over time, the brain might notice and send out more FSH follicle-stimulating hormone.
Trying to boost production.
Exactly, like yelling at the factory to work harder.
Mm.
The brain sends more orders, FSH, to stimulate the ovaries. This can sometimes cause temporary surges or spikes in estrogen, even while the long-term trend might be downwards.
So you get these fluctuations, these periods of relatively high estrogen, hyperestrogenism.
Potentially, yes. And that state can bring its own symptoms.
Lipids?
Things like tension headaches, maybe worsening endometriosis if that's already an issue.
Where the uterine tissue grows outside the uterus.
Right, also breast swelling or tenderness, maybe benign lumps called fibroadenomas. And heavier periods are common too, which can sometimes even lead to anemia.
Wow. And the liver plays a role here too, doesn't it, in clearing estrogen?
It does. And the expert noted that the liver's ability to detoxify that excess estrogen might become a bit less efficient around this time, sort of mid to late 30s.
Okay, so that could compound the issue. It really is a delicate balance. Now, let's circle back slightly. You mentioned DHEA declining impacts testosterone. How significant is that for women?
Hugely significant and often overlooked. The expert really emphasized this. About 95% of a woman's testosterone comes from DHEA.
95%. Okay, that's massive.
Yeah.
So that DHEA drop we talked about directly hits testosterone.
Directly. And testosterone isn't just a male hormone, obviously. It's crucial for women.
In what ways?
Well, it has anabolic effects, meaning it helps build and maintain lean muscle mass. Super important for metabolism and strength.
Right.
It also supports protein structures all over the body. Think ligaments, keratin for hair and nails, collagen and elastin for skin,
Hmm.
even the gut lining,
So skin health, hair health, joint stability, gut integrity.
all influenced by testosterone. Plus, it's vital for physical recovery after you exercise or exert yourself.
So if testosterone is lower, because DHEA is lower,
Hmm.
even if you're hitting the gym, doing strength training.
You might not see the results you expect. Yeah, recovery might be slower, you might feel more inflamed after workouts, and building muscle could be harder because the body isn't utilizing protein as effectively for repair.
That could be really frustrating if you don't know why it's happening.
Exactly. And again, it's a predisposition, not destiny. It varies hugely between individuals.
Okay. This feels like a lot of potential challenges, but the expert commentary did offer a more positive outlook, didn't it? An integrated way to approach this.
Yes, absolutely. There was an encouraging observation shared. Women who were proactive about their health earlier on,
Meaning,
meaning regular checkups, getting a handle on their own hormone levels, really prioritizing rest, good nutrition, managing stress, those women often seem to navigate their 40s and 50s more smoothly.
that makes sense. Being informed and proactive pays off. But what about women who maybe haven't been doing that or are experiencing these things now without knowing why?
That's a really important point the expert raised.
Yeah.
Many women might be going through these shifts silently, maybe feeling dismissed, or even getting misdiagnosed.
Misdiagnosed.
Yeah, or offered treatments that just manage symptoms without addressing the underlying hormonal shifts.
Were there specific conditions mentioned that might sometimes be linked back to these imbalances?
There were things like fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, multiple chemical sensitivity, even some presentations of depression or anxiety disorders, or just a general feeling of frailty. In some cases, these might have roots in these hormonal changes, the high cortisol, the stress nervous system.
So it underscores the need to look at the whole picture, potentially.
Definitely. Symptoms aren't always isolated.
But the good news is there are things women can do. It's not hopeless.
Not at all. The expert strongly advocates for a holistic, integrated approach.
Which includes?
Well, focusing on nutrition is key. Using certain supplements strategically, things like magnesium, maybe adaptogenic herbs to help with stress resilience. Sometimes DHEA replacement might be considered, but only under professional guidance.
Okay.
Stress management is huge, obviously. That might include psychological support if needed. Looking at hormone rebalancing strategies. And exercise, but exercise that's guided appropriately with a real focus on recovery, not just pushing harder.
Right, working with your body, not against it.
Precisely. And the overall message was really one of hope.
That these issues can be managed.
Yes, significantly improved, often, by taking this kind of integrated, proactive approach. And crucially, by understanding what's actually happening in your body as you move past your mid-30s.
So wrapping this up then, we've covered a lot. Ground the shifts in cortisol, DHEA, adrenaline, progesterone, estrogen, testosterone. all starting potentially around the mid-30s.
It's a complex dance, for sure.
But understanding these potential changes, like
Mm.
you said, it's that first step. It gives you power.
It really does. And maybe a final thought for you listening.
Mhm.
How does this land with you? Does any of this information resonate with your own life or maybe experiences of women you know?
Yeah, it's something to mull over. Maybe it prompts thinking about holistic health strategies, about really tuning into what your body might be telling you.
And it sounds like there's more to come on this topic, exploring specific tools and ways to support health during this stage.
Definitely looking forward to that. It's all about building that knowledge base and feeling equipped, isn't it?
Yeah.
Navigating these years with confidence.